I'd have my back facing the door, so in case like somebody did like barge in.
For 5 years, 23-year-old Aaron Emerson tried to
Sometimes I would hide it like in my vent.
hide his struggle with addiction.
I would like hide it in like newspapers.
Aaron's dad, Wes, says his son's drug habit started at 15.
It began with the marijuana usage.
From there, he turned to prescription drugs as strong as Oxycontin and eventually progressed to using heroin.
Right here was where I used to do it.
Would find that there was less money in my wallet than I knew I had.
But the money Aaron was stealing from family wasn't enough to support his growing habits.
Eventually my habit was anywhere from like $50 to $100 a day.
People have to get money to pay for the drugs. Where do they get money from? They victimize members of the community.
In and out of jail for things such as theft, Aaron Emerson was convicted of 3 felonies.
These are all the postcards that I got while I was in jail. And this is just like my cell that I was in.
Something that Judge Donald Allen says is common among drug addicts.
And this is just anecdotal, but there's probably 80 to 85% of the people that are defendants in criminal cases that have substance abuse issues.
Substance Abuse Services for Community Mental Health Director Eric Ann Spence explains.
Substance abuse staff will screen and evaluate you, and if you meet criteria, they do a full assessment, and then they get you into group and individual therapy while you're in the jail.
Some help is there, but helping these addicts isn't what the Department of Corrections is meant to do.
And they're honest enough to tell you we're in the housing business and the moving business, not in the treatment business. That's somebody else's gig.
Jail stints here at Ingham County Jail didn't stop Aaron from using. In fact, he overdosed upon release.
If you do a lot and overdose, you just wake up in the hospital.
Phil Pavona is the director of Families Against Narcotics. He lost his son to a heroin overdose shortly after being released from jail.
We did not know that they're most at risk within the first 24 to 72 hours of coming out of jail and or out of rehab.
Dr. Deb Smith, owner of Wellness INX, a peer recovery program, explains that when you overdose, it's
like anything else. You stop breathing. Your heart stops. You go into respiratory failure. You just slow down. Clock out.
For those who survive an overdose, recovery may not be on their agenda. Pavona says they have to want to be clean, and for Aaron, that day came when
I had to go live at the homeless shelter in Lansing for a little bit, and that combined with the overdose and just seeing how my family treated me and not wanting me around was what finally did it.
Aaron's parents contacted Smith at Wellness INX to get Aaron some help. She then put them in touch with Pavona, who became the family's recovery coach.
My first meeting with Aaron was really going over to talk to his father and mother.
Unknowingly, Pavona says he has a stronger tie to Aaron than he thought.
I was back in my room and I could hear Phil talking about his son that died, and once he said Eric Pavona, I was like, oh my God, that is who I was in jail with.
We began to talk. He reached into his pocket and he pulled out a piece of paper and opened it up and asked me if this was my son. And it was our son's obituary. And I said, you know, you've kept this all this time? And he goes, yeah, it really had an effect on me.
An instant connection.
And he said, you know, I'm kind of sick of being sick.
And so his recovery began.
You have to individualize your plan based on the client and their family life.
Pavona describes what he calls the family recovery plan.
Part of the program is not just for you, it's for your parents. They're used to sleeping with their eyes and ears open all night.
In order to bring peace into the household, Pavona's program sets restrictions.
Restrictions on your cell phone, curfews, I mean, all these other things that a typical 21, 22-year-old kid really doesn't want to have.
I had to go through Facebook and block all my friends, and I changed my phone number.
Pavona says sobriety is the main focus for the first 3 months. Not a job, not school.
We're interested in them getting hooked into the community and being around other people who are trying to stay clean.
18 months later, and Aaron Emerson is still sober. He is enrolled at Lansing Community College working for a degree in journalism and is currently freelancing for a local paper.
I never thought that I would be writing for a decent community newspaper in Mason. So I just trust God that He has something for me in my future.
You know, I remember his dad telling me that he had already written his obituary.
And it's like having a son back from the dead, literally. I have my son back, the real Aaron.
For Focal Point, I'm Amanda Chodnicki.